Hi, y'all. Welcome to this week's episode. I am bringing on one of my friends, Eryn Hall, to come and talk and just really share her story with body dysmorphia, growing up with just all kinds of body image struggles and things she was up against, how she really found freedom from those things, and how she now lives a life of total freedom in this area. She is a devoted wife. She's a killer mother. She's the founder of Declare Conference, if you haven't heard of that before. And she's just a really cool chick. You'll hear me talk to her in this episode, but she is always positive. She always has something great to say. She's got a great sense of humor. She loves the Lord, and she's here to tell her story about how she overcame body dysmorphia and body image struggles and lives in total freedom by God's grace. So enjoy this just beautiful soul, Eryn Hall. Eryn?
Hi.
Hey, girl. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, so good. I'm so happy to talk to you.
Why has it been so long since we've talked?
I know, right? Well, I was just thinking about you this morning, and I was like, we're really more Instagram friends than like in-person friends.
I know. It just doesn't seem right.
I know it doesn't. But then it's also like, oh, momming is just 24/7.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I feel like I have all these people in my life that I legit feel so close to.
Yeah.
That I haven't had lunch with for like 2 years.
I know.
It's the good part of social media, I guess.
Right. Yeah. That's the same part. That's the same for me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's so many horrible parts of social media.
Fortunately.
But the good part is that I still feel like I'm like close to people that I don't get to see a lot.
Yeah. It's nice to stay in touch that way, for sure.
It really is. Well, I'm so happy you're doing this. Thank you.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm glad that you asked. I'm just honored. So thank you.
For sure. So a couple of things I wanted to ask you about. Well, first of all, welcome everyone. So this is funny. I got Eryn Hall here, and you're the founder of Declare.
Correct.
Okay. The Declare Conference.
Yes.
And you had me come speak at the Declare Conference. Boy, it was pre-COVID, so it must have been like 2018 or
that sounds
2019.
Right. That sounds right.
And I was preparing for it, and who's the other person that hosts it? Ann
Watson hosts.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Uh-huh.
Ann. So Ann had called me to be on a podcast.
Yes.
And I was like,
she was doing our podcast.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, what? How funny is this? So this whole podcast kind of goes back to you.
Oh, no.
I was like, a podcast, like, are those a thing? Like, is that like a thing that's going on? I mean, I knew what they were, but I had never listened to one. I certainly had never thought about being on one, but because you invited me to Declare Conference, that Ann had me on the Declare podcast, I was like, wow, this is like a really cool space. And then
look at you now. Wow.
I know, right? It's so fun. So at your conference, I don't even watch TV hardly anymore. It's like all podcasts all the time. But at your conference, when I was there, you had these other speakers that were like giving statistics, and they were like, why aren't more people in the podcast space? They were like, whatever, like million blogs.
Right.
And at the time, there's tons of podcasts now, but at the time they were statistically very different numbers as far as blogs versus podcasts. And so I always just kind of kept it in the back of my mind because I love talking to people, and I love hearing people's stories. And so it's just cool because you're kind of the originator of it.
Wow. I love that.
That's why I love the Bible so much, is like, it's stories. It's a narrative.
Oh, it's rich. Yes.
Right? It's rich with like, it is laced with like, I was talking to our 1132U group a couple nights ago, and I was like, I am David. I am Samson. I am Eve. I am, so I just, so my whole point with this is just like, I just want stories to get out that help encourage people that like, oh, I'm not alone.
Yes, definitely. And you can see yourself in a lot of stories playing a different role, or, you can hear the same story 3 or 4 times and see yourself in it differently, depending on where you are in life and that sort of thing.
It's so true. Well, thank you for getting me started on my podcast journey so many years ago. It feels like a decade ago.
I know. Well, I'm glad. I mean, it's working out for you. I love it.
Well, first of all, tell people, before I start asking you a bunch of questions, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I know you're a mom. I know that's your favorite job.
My favorite thing in the world.
Mama Hall.
Yep. My favorite thing in the world is being my kid's mom. So I have 2 kids. Our daughter is 17 and she's a senior in high school. Wow. And our son is 13 and he's a freshman. And my husband and I, when we live in Allen, and what else do you want to know? Let's see. I'm a cheerleading coach. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I coach cheer and I love it. I'm a dancer. That's, big part of
I knew that. Yes.
Yeah, big part of my life too. And so this is just another way of expressing that. And so that's really fun.
One of the things about you that I really appreciate just online, in our online friendship, is you're genuinely one of my favorite people I follow.
Oh my goodness.
I'm serious. And this is what I want to dig into a lot of different parts of your story.
Sure.
But one of them is that you online, and I know everybody's online personas can be different than who we are in real life. But I really feel like yours is, and I also know you in real life as well.
Yeah.
And I just love how you are so, this is going to sound so cheesy. I wish there was another word for it, but like positive.
Yeah.
Like,
I know what you mean.
You know? Yeah. Like every time you do a story, it's something encouraging, it's uplifting, you just have such a platform where I think like I never go, you know how sometimes when you go to click on someone's stories, you're like, oh no, oh no. Like, is this going to make me sad?
Right.
Is this going to like make me feel judged? Is this going to make me feel bad? Is this going to, and when I see your little name pop up, when I see Mama Hall pop up, I'm like, oh good, this will be good.
Oh, I love that. That's great. No,
and I'm guessing that was on purpose.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so just tell me about that a little bit. Like, how do you curate just such like in a world where social media is like taking people down?
Well, it's a choice. I mean, it's a decision before I even open up my phone to just be in that place in my mind, to have that kind of mindset and what do I want to put out in the world? And especially having kids now, I'm thinking about who's following me, and some of my kids' friends follow me on Instagram, so I'm really aware of that too.
So
like
cute. Yeah.
they're watching me, and so the word influencer, like I think of it in a very different way as the world might, and I'm influencing really like my kids and their friends and like the next generation, not just people my age or whatever, but it really is a choice, and it's a daily like decision. And before I even press post or publish or whatever, I'm thinking through who's going to see this.
Yeah.
Is this really me? Do I really feel this way, or am I just trying to like fake it? I won't post.
That's really good.
Yeah. I won't post from a place of like faking or forcing anything. I just don't. I just have some really firm boundaries for myself. And I'm pretty like stubborn in that way where like, I just won't like, I don't post in the moment. Almost everything you see on my stories or my Instagram or on social media that I've shared is probably at least a day later.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's like an hour or two later, like if it's after church or something,
right.
but I never like post in that moment. So I just feel like I need a time to like think and make sure who's going to see this? How's it going to resonate? Is this really how I feel? Or am I just like trying to stir something up? I kind of self-check very frequently.
That's so good. I just feel like I've made so many blunders, not on Instagram so much, because I've been pretty chill on, but pre-Instagram, like back in Facebook, Twitter days, I just made so many blunders without considering the people.
Yeah.
And so I would just have some opinion. And then I do this too when somebody's having a strong opinion, I'm like, oh, they're talking about me. No, they're not talking about me. So they're not even thinking about me.
Exactly. So that your words might come across that way too.
That way to someone else. So, But then what do you think the balance, this is, we're going to talk about other things. I'm genuinely curious just because I love your social media so much. What do you think the balance is between being scared to say anything, right? And then being very aware that I don't want to hurt anyone or make somebody question something I might be saying or make someone feel bad?
The balance, I think, comes from like I said, just doing a self-check and being like, where is this coming from within me?
That's
is this
really
something
good.
that I need to talk with out loud? It's face to face with somebody, or maybe even text a friend and be like, bounce it off a friend. I've done that so many times, or I'll box a friend and be like, this is really on my heart. And instead of sharing it on social where it could go and land the wrong place,
Yeah.
I'll take it to a safe friend and be like, this is on my heart right now and it's like really bothering me, or I have this opinion and I feel really strongly about it, but it's weird and
Yeah.
and so I'll just take it somewhere else if it's even questionable at all,
Yeah.
to my husband or to prayer, just depending on the severity of it.
Yeah.
If there's any doubt or any question at all, I just don't post. I'd rather be quiet on social media because really in the scheme of things, it's nothing, right?
We could close the podcast down right now. It's better to be quiet.
I think so. That's my stance. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's any question or any doubt about it, I'm just gonna throw my phone across the room and be like,
yeah.
Not right now.
We had a pastor mentoring us years ago, and he was saying to Dustin, who preaches every Sunday, he's like, never make the whole crowd pay for something that one person did to you that you're trying to like belittle or make.
That's so good.
Because when you have a microphone, you have a power that is like, and especially in a church, like that is God's house. That's not yours, Right. And he's like, so don't you get up there and rage against something that you're mad about that one person did.
One issue, one little thing. Yeah.
And I think
it can be easy to do though when you're...
Oh, it can be so easy because you're not looking... Oh, 100%. I want to get 1,000 points across. And I'm not looking at the real person,
Right.
And I've had people rage against Dustin and I on social media and then be so docile and timid in real life.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, we just forget in the age of social media how, so mostly
tricky.
I'm just pictures of my kids and scriptures mostly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the safest place.
That's about
the safest thing. Yeah, that's the safest thing. Yeah, really, because like if someone like me, or somebody who doesn't know what's going on in your world
exactly
hears a message from the pulpit and is like, whoa, it just comes across bitter and complaining. And I know that's not you guys. Like I know it's just, you might just be having...
it's irresponsible preaching. It's irresponsible. It's not stewarding that platform well. So Dustin, I was like in a little tiff with him like last year because I thought he was preaching to me on some Sunday. And I was just like, how dare you? How dare you do this? And so I told him and he goes, what are you even talking about?
Oh my goodness,
like
Jamie.
You weren't even in my headspace.
Oh no!
Like I was like, oh, this is what just genuine conviction feels like. I came, but he was so genuinely like, Jamie, I would never use that. I would never use the pulpit to like try and get at you. Like we have a counselor for that.
Yeah, that's a good teachable moment. I mean,
right. I know.
I think that's what it comes down to, right? It's like, okay, let the conviction come from God and not like, I'm not here to use my Instagram to convict somebody, that's not
so good.
Yeah. That's not my place.
That's so good. You're really close with the kids?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
How do you think you cultivated that?
Just
through the years.
Yeah. I think it just was, my intention from the get-go. I feel like I knew that being their mom was going to be my calling, like it was going to be the place where I was going to serve and give my 100%. I knew that early on. And so, and homeschooling too, we're together so much. And so I really wanted that to be just like not something we ever dreaded or, that tore us apart, because I think sometimes homeschooling, that's one thing that you don't really hear a lot of people talk about, but it can be damaging if you're not careful to your mother-child relationship if you step into teacher role too strongly. So I was really careful and cautious with that. I was surrounded by a lot of like really godly women too, like wise women speaking into my life who were couple years ahead of me.
Yeah.
So just kind of watching them and the kind of home that they cultivated, I just kind of saw like some role models and I was like, okay, that's the kind of home that I want to create. And I want my home to be full of peace when my husband comes home from work. Like I want it to be like a sanctuary, and so I just kind of had this idea, this vision of what I wanted, and I just made it happen.
Yeah.
I did. I fought for it. I did. It's going against the grain a lot. And keeping my blinders on is like not looking at what's working for that family
Yeah.
and not trying to do what they're doing, but just kind of staying in our lane. And
Right. God gave us our kids for a reason.
exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about, because I've heard you talk about it before. I'm like, this is why I love long form, because I get to talk to people and I get to ask questions like I genuinely want.
Yeah.
I genuinely want help with or want to know about,
Okay.
So I love hearing about the family and the family structure and how you like make your home a good place and all that. But I've also heard you talk on a podcast, it might have been Emily's actually, about body image and eating disorders and how like you've had quite a journey.
Yes.
With that. So like, would you talk that was like kind of like where I wanted to like land in some ways.
Yeah.
In that, because I think like, I don't even need to say it. Everybody knows. And it's not just women anymore too, you know? But culture, what we're fed, the pressures, and so I would love to hear from you. I have my sister who she used to be a nutritionist. I had her on a couple years ago to talk about just like listening to your body and healthy eating and all of that. But I would really love to hear from you as far as like, can you give us a glimpse into just the mind and process of somebody who was plagued by this issue and then walked out of it?
Yes.
So maybe like where it started, how it started.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So it started for me, I'm pretty far out of my journey now, I guess.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Like I'm like 17 years healed. Okay. So praise God, right?
It's amazing.
But so it's easier for me to talk about now.
Yeah.
than it was,
Yeah.
It used to be harder to talk about because it was fresh, but now, I mean, it's, I'm so healed and I love talking about my freedom in Christ. So,
amazing.
When I was in high school, like the end of high school, early college years is when I really started struggling with my body image. And I didn't know what anorexia was, but I had full-blown anorexia at that time. And also something called body dysmorphia.
Can you explain what that is?
That is, well, the best way I can describe it without like being all medically is when I would look in the mirror, I saw something different than what was real. Like I saw a different version of myself, than what was real. So I would look, I was, skin and bones, but when I looked in the mirror, I saw someone that was obese and unhealthy every time. Every picture I saw of myself, every reflection in the window. And so I taught myself to avoid mirrors and reflections and that sort of thing. So I didn't have to see myself. And then I would continue with the anorexia, so that I would maybe like my reflection someday, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was toxic, really, really bad.
And was there something that provoked it in the sense of like something somebody said? Was it culture? Was it just,
well,
back then it would have been magazines or that's what we would have seen. Yeah.
So I've been trying to pinpoint it for a long time. And finally I just gave up and it's like, I'm not even going to try to find the fault for this. I'm just going to say that's
just say it's over.
It's over. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But you're right. That was a time of like magazines and TV and movie, really no social media.
Yeah,
to speak
none.
of.
Yeah.
So, but I do remember it was like the Jane Fonda years. My mom was really into like video workouts, Richard Simmons, like that sort of thing. She would go to Jazzercise. Slim Fast, like the quick Slim Fast was like brand new on the market.
I remember that. Yep.
Carnation instant breakfast, like, hurry, get your, 10 fat grams. I don't even know what it was now, but like there was just this culture that was, I don't know if it was new, but it was new to me where it was like, get skinny fast. And supermodels like Kate Moss and, I don't want to point fingers, of course, but that's who was on our billboards at the time and on magazine covers. And so I think just seeing that, and around me and then like seeing that beautiful was skinny, beautiful was small.
Back then, because how old are you?
I was probably 18, 19.
Or how old are you now?
Started. I'm 42 now.
Okay, so we're the same age, yeah. So that's my exact. I can picture this
Same.
entire,
Yeah.
oh my
the
goodness.
atmosphere.
And bones, skin and bones.
Yeah, skin and bones.
There was no curves. It was the low cut.
No.
You want to see the hip bones. You want to, yeah.
Oh, the collarbone for sure.
Yep, the collarbone, the hip bone. Oh.
Yeah. In fact, I also remember, like, I don't know if this was new too at that time, or if I was just really aware of it, but the fat shaming was out of control. Like, just remember, I don't remember, was it Oprah Winfrey? Somebody on TV like gained a lot of weight, and it was like headline news. Like, why are we talking about how much this woman weighs? Like, I
was going to say it was a woman for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the fat shaming, like, voices were getting really loud at that time too. And so I know that I had a fear of getting fat, of gaining fat, being able to pinch an inch anywhere was like my worst nightmare. So I fought, to stay very small and struggled for a few years, 5, 6, 7 years with body dysmorphia and full-blown anorexia.
What is the mind of a girl that is just all consumed with, like, I have to be thin, I have to be tiny, don't eat,
Yes. So I knew how many calories and fat grams were in almost every food. Like,
without looking.
I just knew it off the top of my head. And so there were days when I would have, I'm not even exaggerating, I would have one Tic Tac for lunch, and that was it.
Wow.
If I was around food, I felt like I was absorbing it, even like, so I had a job at the time, and I remember there was a lunch, like a potluck lunch.
Yeah.
And so everyone in the office brought something. And of course, I wasn't going to eat anything, but I went in there and got a cup of coffee. I drank so much coffee in those. That's because, it was made me
zero.
0 calories. And I remember walking into the break room and seeing all this potluck food and walking out and feeling like I had somehow absorbed calories just by walking in the room.
Just by being around it.
And I did spend a lot of time. It's funny you mentioned going to the bathroom, because I did spend a lot of time in that office bathroom doing jumping jacks.
Oh, wow.
Just, I would go in and do 100
to, like,
jumping
literally
jacks.
work off a Tic Tac.
Yeah. It was just sick and all consuming.
Yeah. So, and did you have, like, boyfriends at the time?
Jeff and I were actually together at that time.
Oh, you were? Oh, but he didn't know?
He did not know.
Okay.
In fact, he didn't know until probably 5 years after I was free, like, done with it.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't, no one knew in my life what was going on. And I actually loved that secret. And that, like, some people unbeknown, like, they didn't know, but they would fuel it a little bit with comments like, "Oh, you've lost so much weight," or
"You're too tiny.
You look great. You're so tiny.
Yeah.
You're so small." That those kinds of comments were like a high five, like, "You're doing great, Eryn. Keep going."
Wow. So you guys were together at the time, and he had no idea. So So you hit it.
I hit it. Yes. I would eat meals with him. So I would eat like one meal a day. We'd have dinner together or something. But if I knew we were eating together, then I would for sure not eat all day. I would plan out my time with him so that it could be concealed.
And so everything was kind of about food. Is that right? Like, all of your thoughts, like, you plan for date night to not eat and then not eat again the next day.
Yes. And I would look at the menu ahead of time if I could and figure out what was the least caloric thing that I could eat and get away with, and I did play it off for a little while as being a strict vegetarian.
Okay.
Vegetarians don't eat very much. So, or I would say that I was doing, some kind of fad diet because that was acceptable. A fad diet, that was acceptable.
Oh, yeah. It's totally cool still to be on keto.
Oh, yeah. Keto or
be on
whatever.
paleo or be on,
So I would just play it off as that. But the real issue is, obviously much greater than that.
Yeah. Would you say the predominant, like, thing fueling it was, like, was it the fear of gaining weight, or was it shame, or was there anything, like, inside of yourself that was connected to this, or was this really just like, I can't get fat no matter what?
I think it was, I can't get fat no matter what. Like, fat is like, being fat was like the worst thing that you could ever be.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at pictures of people, it just, you can hear it so much even still, or I do at least. People are looking at pictures like, oh, I look fat in this or whatever. Like that was, I never wanted to ever say that about myself or have anyone think that about me. It was just
you would overhear things and be like, I will never be that. Yeah. Yeah. I think I can relate with that in the sense of like, I heard like, not even growing up, but just throughout life, I heard so many things about how like girls are stupid, or it's stupid to be a girl, or you're weak like a girl, or you think like a girl. And so that like informed my thing to be like, I will not be. No matter what, I can never be stupid, no matter what.
Yes.
Like I will die before I die stupid.
Right.
Like, or I will die before I live stupid,
Yeah.
And so it's just weird how like the things we hear, and it's again, like, so it's so important how we raise our kids.
Yes. Our words are
so important. Like I had great parents. Sounds like you, I mean, but still just chatter gets in. And my sister is his first grade teacher. And she texted me the other day and said, I know you'll want to know this, because she knows how careful I am about. I've just met with too many women and girls that they can't live their lives because of exactly what you're like describing. They can't enjoy anything. And so my sister and I are close. She lives with us. And so she knew I wanted to know. And she goes, I think you need to know that we were passing cookies around the room. And Genesis said, no, because there's too many calories. And I literally gasped. And she goes, I know how strongly you feel about this. I don't know where he heard it. He didn't hear it from me.
No, yeah, right.
He didn't hear it in our house.
Right.
And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, that got into him somewhere. And she said he was being funny. And then he still took a cookie. So it wasn't like he was trying to be thin. But she goes, I know how careful you are about the things that they think.
Right.
The words, yeah. And just the fact that he would even know, like, about calories is so inappropriate at this age.
Right.
Like he shouldn't even know about calories.
But it's just such common chatter. Like
it is.
It's just too many calories, or like, no, I'm not doing sweets right now, or just there's just association with food being bad, and it just can cross a line really easily.
Yeah.
If we're not careful.
Oh man. Okay,
Absolutely.
so back to this process. So this went on for how many years?
6 years or so, maybe 7 years.
Did you ever did you know it was an issue? Or were you so used to it you didn't even know? I
was so used to it. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was great. Of course. I mean, I look great.
Because
people told me I look great. I mean, I didn't look great. Now looking back, Eryn, you look sick. Like I wish someone had said that. But
instead of you look tiny,
right?
Sick would have been better than tiny.
Eryn, eat a hamburger, please. Like no one said that to me. Although I don't know if that would have helped or not. But But no, I didn't really know that I had an issue honestly until we were trying to, Jeff and I got married, and then we were trying to start a family, and I went in for the pre-family planning consultation with my doctor. And, she asked me all the right questions, and then she just kind of put her elbows on her desk and was like, looked at me straight in the eye and said, if you can't take care of yourself, how do you think you can take care of another person? Yeah.
Oh, and she had you made?
She figured me out. And she didn't even have to say anything like, I know you're not, like, she didn't have to say anything about my weight. Yeah. I knew what she was talking about.
Yeah.
And that was like, whoa, okay. Whoa, this could be really affecting more than just me. And so that was a turning point for me. Walked out of that doctor's office just determined to change. And that was it for me. All she had to say was, how do you expect to take care of somebody else if you can't take care of yourself? And that is such truth right there.
Oh, it is.
Even today,
100%.
You got to take care of yourself. How the kids are depending on me. My husband is depending on me. I'm called to take care of them. So I need to take care of myself, my future grandkids,
Yes. Yeah. So from that point on, like what was it immediate? Like did you cold turkey it? Or was it there a process out of like where you are now?
I cold turkeyed it.
You white knuckled your way out of it.
I did.
Oh my gosh. With a little bit of the Holy Spirit, I'm guessing.
For sure.
Wow.
So actually, my faith, my relationship with Christ started at that same point too, because
really? Oh, that's interesting.
I was like, okay, I want to do this. Like, I really want to get myself healthy because I really want to start a family and like start my life with my husband. But there's no way I can do this on my own. Like, there's no way I can change my life. I had heard enough about God to know that he changes lives. And so I knew that I had to start like my relationship with God. And so that's when I started like going to church and reading my Bible, which I'd had forever, but I'd never really took it personally.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started like relating what God was saying in his word, like relating it to me. Like, oh wait, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Oh wait, you created me? Like, that's when it started becoming really personal, because I also was making it personal for my daughter,
Oh.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother level. Doing it for ourselves is one thing. Doing it for our husbands is great, but doing it for legacy.
Right.
I don't
know, Jamie. Honestly, I don't know if I would have done it if that doctor hadn't said, and if it was just about me. And I think I would still be probably in that same prison, just going through the motions.
Yeah. And having to pretend, I'm sure, all the time.
Yeah.
Man.
So that was a turning point. And as my faith grew and I like learned more about what God says about me and who God says I am, and my identity became more about that and it became less about my body and my eating disorder. And I kicked that out of my life. I unclaimed that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to stop you because everything you just said, I want to like unpack practically.
Okay.
Because this is so good. Like I talk to people like for a living, I know this is such a deep, deep thing in so many. You said, what you just said right before you said the unclaimed thing, I want to come back to that, but you kicked it and you started reading the Bible, developing a relationship with God. You started like
my identity.
The identity. That was it. The identity. Yep. How did you do that? Like practically.
Okay. Practically, it was a decision in my head. Like,
okay. It always starts in our head, doesn't it?
Like I can choose right now to be the same Eryn that I've been for the past few years and doing the same things, or I can take this path, which means healthier self, healthier future, healthy baby. And so, like I said, I knew enough about God to know that he could change my life. He could change anyone's life. I knew that. But that's about all I knew. And so, I started opening up my Bible. I found a church close by and started visiting, and really just started reading. I started in the book of John.
Oh, that's a great starter.
It's so good. It's
the best. That's amazing.
And I go back to it like anytime I feel like I need to restart,
It's like a special place for you
really
in the Word.
Is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And man, I poured into that book and claimed everything that.
And so because I know what you're saying, but when you say claim, can you help people understand what does that mean?
Oh, I just made it super personal. So I read it as if it was written for me.
So good. So good.
About me, for my future, about my past. Like, I just made it very personal. I wrote my name in places where, it says,
I love that.
If it says, Jesus loves you or Jesus died for you, Jesus died for Eryn, I made it very personal.
Yeah. And that was when you started to climb out.
Yes.
That's amazing. I think sometimes like when you're around Christianity so long or when you hear the same things over and over, they can just kind of like become a cliche.
Yeah.
And then like a story like this reminds like, it's just such a good reminder that, oh, no, this really works.
Right.
Like,
yeah. So like if I was to be like, hey, God is good, please know that is not a cliche. That is coming from
that is like your life. You have lived God is good. You have lived it.
Every day. But yeah, for sure.
That is like just such a powerful reminder. And I think sometimes when people get disillusioned with God or burdened down in their Christian walk, and just sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we've just never made it personal.
Yeah, that's true. You just go to church, you read what
you do the
memorize
checklist.
the scriptures, and and forget that it's really for you.
It is, yeah. For wherever whether it's alcohol or eating disorder or anger management or
depression,
whatever, depression, anxiety, all of it. Like it's for us. That is like, I just love that so much.
I just made a decision to like, this is going to be worth it. I'm going to go for this. This has got to be better than what I was doing.
Yeah. And you wanted that baby enough.
I did. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so were there other practical things you did just with identity stuff? Because again, like self-hatred is so prevalent, and shame and guilt, and there's just so much. Like, is there anything else with identity where because like now you're confident, you've founded ministries, you're a killer mom, you're all of these things, but like that's a process getting there.
Sure. Yes, for sure. Yes, there were some very practical things I did. So first of all, I started eating.
Wow.
And I made sure that I was around people who were healthy also in that this is physically healthy,
Wow.
And I took I stopped looking at myself so much as like, oh, Eryn, you need to be skinny, you need to not eat, and started looking around for other healthy people and like, what are they eating? Are they consumed with calories? No. And then I also started studying nutrition, and I was doing it while I was pregnant. And so I had to learn about I started taking a vitamin for the first time in my life.
You had to learn to literally eat.
I had to learn to literally eat. And so I wanted to be super healthy for myself and for her. It was a great time to learn about food and how it affects our bodies. And so I dove into nutrition and just learned the ins and outs of food and what it does for our bodies. And that was very helpful too, very eye-opening, like, oh, wait, there's more to food than just how many calories and fat grams are in it. So let's look at the ingredients, and let's see where it's grown and how we can prepare it and cook. I learned to cook, a little bit more. I had never really cooked before.
Yeah.
So I started spending more time in the kitchen preparing meals and found that I love doing that. And serving my family in that way, my new family in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, just very practically, like just jumped right in to, healthier relationship with food.
Yeah. Did you ever like back into?
Yes, probably. Not severely, but there definitely were times when I would. So even still now, I'll say I struggle with like my reflection sometimes, like in the mirror. I think I trained myself so well to not look at myself in the mirror or pictures or windows that now that still sometimes affects me. But in the earlier years of my recovery and healing, yes, there were definitely days when I had to really be hard on myself to make myself eat and make healthier choices. Yeah. And then, like I said, I didn't really confess to Jeff until years later. Even after Josh was born.
Wow.
And he was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea this was part of your story. Like, I didn't know this about you. He felt so bad about not knowing, of course, but I don't blame him at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, after confessing and admitting it to Jeff, that I think was a whole next level of healing and freedom.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the secret's out.
Yeah.
And he can hold me accountable,
Yeah.
So that was really helpful too.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. For somebody who loves someone struggling.
Yeah.
Help me, like, how can someone help if Jeff had known,
Yeah.
if he had known when you were in like the grip of struggle, or a friend or a, sister, mother, anybody, dad, what would help? Goodness, obviously you already said not calling them tiny.
Yeah. I think just being careful, like, the kinds of work, like the kinds of conversations where we're talking about weight or size or food, even like healthy food, associating food with being good or bad food.
Yeah.
Those are really, those can be really sensitive areas for someone who's struggling with body image. And it can be the most innocent comment, but it can be received as like definite. You know what I mean? Like, this is a definite no food or definite bad food. We don't eat that sort of thing. And also practically, I think just being a healthy role model and modeling healthy eating habits and just like I said, cooking, talking more about nutrition than than that the other things.
Think good, bad. Think good, bad. It's more like, okay, if somebody had said this, could it have helped you earlier? Or did you feel like you really needed to get a place like where you're going to like really dig in with God? You got to make up your own mind and then it's like go time.
I think
I don't know.
Gonna be I don't know. I think it's going to be different for everybody. But yeah, I think that if someone had, if Jeff or anybody had helped me learn my identity in a like reframe my identity. I don't think I knew.
love that, reframing someone's identity. I love that.
Yeah. And even in just little ways of like, even just not complimenting physical appearance, but complimenting something else, that's going to reframe my identity, right?
It's so good.
Right? So you're such a good caretaker, or like, you're so thoughtful. You're such a good gift
friend
giver. You're such a good friend. You're so smart, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That would have helped my identity. That would have fed my identity in different ways,
This is gold.
Right?
Yeah, I do know. Yeah. That's so
because my identity was so wrapped up.
It was all looks.
It was all physical appearance, food, body image, that sort of thing. No, and I didn't really have nothing else coming at me that fed anything else. So that's all I had was physical appearance identity.
I've never thought about that in the sense of like reframing someone's value by how you affirm or what you see in them.
And I don't know, maybe it's just me because words of affirmation
I am too. Yeah. That we're totally vibing on this whole thing.
That's a big deal to me.
We're words of affirmation people. Yeah. Give us all the words.
But it might be different for someone else who's
That's
more,
a really good point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that would have helped me earlier if I had maybe paid attention to other aspects of my identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get more creative with our compliments, right?
I think that's really true. Yeah. I think that's really, really good. We can get more creative with our compliments. Oh. And then once in a while, it's nice to be told, like.
Of course. I need that. Let's be honest.
Yes, of course we do. But we need it balanced out with that's not the only thing that's valuable about us, is who we marry and how we look. So you feel like now in life, like, do you have a really good relationship with food?
Yes, I
That's
can
amazing.
say that. Yes,
that's
I can
amazing.
say that.
And you work out, right?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I still
You're healthy.
exercise.
You're a nutritious person. Yeah.
Yeah. I pay attention to what I'm eating, but not to an extreme. I exercise, but not to an extreme.
Obsession, right?
Yeah. I've just learned that healthy place. Now there have been times when I've had influences in my life where, exercise was getting a little excessive, or food restrictions were getting a little excessive. But thankfully, that's when Jeff stepped in and was like, "Do you think this is healthy?" And I'm just like, "No, actually, you're right."
Yeah.
Or we'll be looking at pictures and he'll be like, "Oh, this looks different. Like, are you exercising too much these days?" Or, it's just nice to have that accountability and to be in a place where having those kinds of conversations is okay. It's it's safe. If he had said that to me, 17 years ago, like I would have been like, "Sir, mind your business. I am going to exercise for 3 hours today."
Oh yeah. Literally you could have exercised yourself to death.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
well, if I died skinny, I would have been happy. You know what I mean?
Isn't that so wild? That's where your mindset was. Yeah. As long as I go skinny. Yeah. What do you think the balance is between wanting to be, because you're like super like nutritious. I see you running. You love it. Like you
running.
seem to really love it. Like, and there's so much more to it than looks. Like there's the endorphins, there's all the things, you know? So like what do you think like has helped you besides just like having Jeff knowing everything now? What has helped you maintain for 17 years now? Like, okay, like I'm going to still like being nutritious.
Right.
I'm going to like working out, but I'm not going to let it cross the line over into a food obsession or workout obsession.
Right.
Do you just monitor yourself like you said in the beginning, or what is it?
Yeah, absolutely monitor myself. But also I have a different perspective now where I'm not just thinking about myself all the time, but I'm thinking about my kids.
Yep.
And like I said, I want to be healthy. How can I take care of them if I can't take care of myself? And so I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about my future grandkids. I'm thinking about my legacy and like the kind of woman that I am and I want to be. Is a help. I don't want anyone to say that she was sick or, you know, she didn't take care of herself or that sort of thing. Like I just know the kind of woman that I want to be and I want my kids to see and that I want to like emulate and be their role model. And so that's really my motivation, I think, for staying healthy and making healthy choices and not tipping the balance.
Yeah, that's so good. You're like motivated by your legacy and empowered by your faith. And that's a deadly combination right there.
That's right. It is. I even renamed, like I used to say like, oh, that's a trigger for me. Or like, you know, I even renamed my triggers. I don't even like using the word trigger anymore. Now I call them, they're tricks of the enemy. You know, so that's a trick of the enemy.
That's so good. Know? Yeah, I use trigger all the time. That's so good.
Hey,
they're tricks.
Yeah,
they're
try
tricks.
saying it. It's a trick.
Yes,
it's
a trick.
So like in that moment, as soon as I recognize that's a trick, I can like have the choice right there. I have the choice to either like trip over it and, you know, and fall backwards, or I can take a firm grip of God's hand and move forward and move past it and not be tricked by that sneaky trick.
That sneaky little devil.
No, don't you try to get in my life.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I use trigger all the time because
we know trick. It changes.
I love
things.
it.
Yeah.
It's a trick. Yeah. It would definitely help me untrick myself faster.
There you go. Yeah.
That's so good. Oh, well, I really appreciate you doing this and sharing and opening up this part of your life, even though it's been so long. Yeah. It's just such a needed conversation. And I've just seen you over the years just be mom, wife, you know, like now I know you're a cheer coach.
Yeah.
All the things. And I just sense from you, I've always sensed from you and I know we all have horrible times and we all go through things and we all, so I'm in no way trying to say that like your life is perfect, but I do sense a genuine peace in you, in your voice, in your social media. There is just like a rest there that I hope that this podcast encourages other women that, you know, like we can get there too.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Yeah, I hope the same.